24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Puritans Radio from the Spencer Stadium, the home of Banbury United.
And the whole content marketing genre, I did some research, and it's been going for years.
Yeah, under different names.
Yeah.
It's the content marketing as a phrase is relatively new, and people under 25 think it's never existed before.
Yeah.
But content marketing has been going on for over 100 years. They just called it was marketing communications, it was custom publishing, it was branded publishing. The first real example of it was 1895. It was John Deere, the heavy duty equipment and tractor company, started producing a magazine called Furrow for farmers who were their customers. Had nothing to do with John Deere equipment. It had to do with production processes, best practices in farming, made the transition to digital. It's now available all over the world in 12 languages. But it's happened all over the world for years and years. Michelin Guides started doing it in 1900. And the purpose of that wasn't to sell more tires. They put out a 400-page guide to enjoying your car in 1900. There weren't a lot of cars. They did it to boost demand for cars, which obviously would boost demand for tires, which would be good for them. But it was so popular, they gave away 50,000 copies in 1900. There weren't 50,000 cars on the road where they were giving it away. That's content marketing right there, is valuable information your customers want that makes you an expert in their eyes.
Yeah, that's starting to make sense to me. So, but how did you come up with the ideas? Here's something to you. So, I want to be a photographer. I've got my camera here.
There you go.
So how would content marketing work for me?
Well, first you differentiate between marketing and advertising.
Okay.
Everybody knows what advertising is. I have this many I have this many photo packages for this price, and if you buy 2, I'll give you a discount. That's That's advertising. Marketing used to be very, very closely tied to advertising. Some forms of marketing still are. Content marketing is looking at who your potential consumer or customer is.
Everybody would want my photography.
Well, everyone is never a target demographic. That's a very broad base. You decide, well, the people who are looking to have photographs taken are people they're getting married. You just had a wedding photographer on. So offering tips on which family groupings are the most popular, what kind of lighting is available at what kind of day if you're having an outdoor wedding and stuff like that. That has nothing to do with the actual package of wedding pictures that you're offering someone. Find out what are the most common questions people ask about posing. What is the best pose to look as thin as possible? Yes. What should I wear, if I'm having a professional headshot done? That kind of thing. And you make yourself the expert. You put out information they find useful, and you use that information to establish a relationship so that when they think, I need to go get a photograph taken, I know. They know all about this.
So you're creating a portfolio of tips, information, rather than buy me, I sell this.
Advertising is important. I'm not saying, but it's a different kind of outreach.
Yes.
And yes, it's existed for a long time. Digital has made it easier for small and medium businesses to get a foothold on content marketing because the cost threshold of digital marketing can be very low.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's become so central.
Where'd you get your ideas from? So, to write, you just given a great example there of a photographer thinking slightly outside of the normal. But where'd you get your ideas from? Is this through, experience as a writer or being worldly? How did you come up with all these? It seems such hard work.
It can be. One of the for me the most difficult content marketing assignments I ever worked on was a series of white papers for the American Society of Mechanical Engineers.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
I know nothing about engineering. My dad's an engineer, so I know how he takes his coffee, but that's all I know about engineers. They had a website to provide engineers at different points in their career with career advice. Which area of engineering should I go into, this kind of thing. And they wanted me to write describing the opportunities in various areas of engineering, aeronautics engineer, biomedical engineering, automotive engineering. I know nothing about this, but I can look it up.
Yeah, so
You're I am a research queen. Nothing can hide from me on the internet. I have a library card, and as long as I can ground myself in the information and I can identify who the target market is, and that comes from talking to the client and doing more research.
Yes,
that's where that comes from.
What's your favourite subject? If someone, the ideal client, phones you up, Deborah, I'd like to do this job, and you go, yeah.
Food.
Who would that be?
Food.
I thought you would have said that.
Yeah. Now I do a lot of writing about food. I do a lot of content marketing about food, even, for my own purposes. I spent a considerable amount of time working on digital content for a fast-moving consumer goods food retailer and their website. I could write about food all day, not just recipes, but where food comes from and ways to use leftovers and things like that. The grocery chains have been doing content marketing for as long as they've been putting those magazines out.
Absolutely.
Those free magazines that you get,
So that is content marketing?
That's content marketing. If you pick up the Tesco magazine, which is, I think, the most widely read magazine in the country.
Wow.
Yes, there's recipes in there, and yes, there's ads for different products. But there's no ad for Tesco's.
No.
There's recipes, there's tips on, what clever things to do with your kids during the school holidays. Sainsbury's has the same thing. I think most, Waitrose has the same thing.
Yeah. So I wonder who was the first. It's quite interesting. So they followed the John Deere.
And some of them have made the transition to digital more smoothly than others. I think Tesco has several websites. One is food specific. Waitrose has their food and cooking website, and they have a section they've tied to Delia. Sainsbury's has the same thing. Morrison's less so. They're all making that transition to, they're all on social media. They all have their hashtags that they promote. So, but smaller businesses can do the same thing. There's nothing to prevent smaller businesses from punching above their weight on social media.
No, I think now clearly what you've opened up a bit of a door there in terms of utilising their own websites and blogs and social media. They don't need to print magazines like you had to back in the day. Oh, of course they could do, but maybe a little bit.
Well, there's still a demand for it. People pick them up.
Of course.
People don't look things, like your previous guest said, people don't look things up in the yellow pages anymore.
No.
I don't know when the last time I looked in one was. I can't remember.
A useful doorstop back in the day when it was nice.
Yeah, but now they're small,
Now they wouldn't even...
But now, it used to be, if you wanted to be considered a legitimate business, you had a listing in the yellow pages.
Absolutely.
And these days, you have a website.
Yes. What would be the night? Obviously, you've already mentioned your research. But what would be the nightmare from hell client? Just phone you up, Deborah. Got a job for you, and you go, oh God, this is going to take me a while to do some research.
What makes it a nightmare is rarely the research.
Okay.
What makes a project or a client a nightmare is when they kind of think they know what they want, but they don't. They may even tell you exactly what they want, but then you find out it's not really that, and that, in fact, it's going to take a lot longer, and somehow the scope of the project grows exponentially, but your fee somehow isn't. Yeah. I worked on a content audit for a client, and when I first discussed it with them, they said, oh, we need you to do this audit on the website. We need you to go through these sections. We need you to go through these number of pages, and it'll take you 2 months. And I said, it's going to take me longer than 2 months because it's like renovating a bathroom.
Yeah.
You think you know how much the bathroom renovation is going to cost, and then they rip up the floor, and you notice that there's water damage, and your schedule goes out the door. And so, that's the nightmare scenario. It's always good to try to think through as thoroughly as possible. With content marketing, it needs to live as long as possible. Advertising is tied usually to a single event. We're having a sale, we're closing, we're opening, it's a holiday. Yeah. Content marketing should have a very long shelf life. And the longer it's on there, the longer it's up, the higher up in the search results it's going to get.
Now, that makes sense too. So if somebody rings you up this morning after this maybe and says, I'd like to have a discussion about content marketing for my business, my XYZ business, what would be the first thing you would say to them? Apart from saying, okay, let's meet on such a day. What would be the first question you would ask them? Have you got enough money to pay me?
Yeah. The first question I would ask, tell me about your customer.
Excellent question.
To see if they know.
Yeah.
Maybe they do.
But maybe
some of them
don't.
do. Maybe they don't.
That's a brilliant question. I see that a lot.
It also helps me assist them in designing a program to meet whatever goal they have. Or it helps me explain to them why they're about to go off in the wrong direction.
I like that.
So...
Because you've got websites, what websites, because if anyone wants to know a little bit more content marketing, how can they get hold of you?
The easiest way to get hold of me is either go to modernparlance.com or personalparlance.com. Modern Parlance is the name of my content marketing service. Personal Parlance is my blog, where I have sort of a number of links to kind of things that I've worked on and the types of projects. So that's usually the easiest way to get a hold of me.
A good portfolio too. We
Thank
put
you.
that alongside your questionnaire too, which is published on Banburyshire Info. So check that out on the www.banburyshireinfo.co.uk and you can see those questions and more. Deborah, you've been an absolute star today and
Thank you for
wonderful
having me.
insights from about the area. So.
My pleasure.